Good morning, good morning. How is everybody? I just gotta tell you, last night I went live with Karma on Deck. First of all, she called me out and said, oh, Moxie won't come over here. So I had to like jump in my car and run over there just to prove her wrong. No, not to prove her wrong. She's my favorite friend in the whole world, but I'm gonna take these off. It was super fun, and if you get a chance to jump over there, go take a look at Karma on Deck and I super playing off of each other. It was a lot of fun, but one of the things that we talked about last night was how she laughed about me getting up early and she's the night owl. And here we are again. It's about 6 o'clock where I'm at. That's Mountain Standard Time. If you're on the East Coast, it's probably, 8 o'clock. So good morning to everyone. There's a lot going on today, and there's not as much happening like specifically today on the 17th, but there's some interesting things going on, and there's a bunch of interesting energies that are coming up soon. So let's talk about those. I just want to remind everybody that if you have questions, last night we were on that live and I got a ton of questions, people wanting to know how to learn astrology, where to start if you're learning astrology, and a little bit about, what's the most important things. And we talked a little bit about that yesterday. There's so much, so just keep that in mind. There's so much. It's like learning 4 maths and 2 science classes all at once. So I don't dive into all of that in the mornings, but I just want you to know that I do when I do natal charts. I've been doing a whole bunch of natal charts for people, and those are super fun for me because it's like this beautiful blueprint of who you are, what your core is, and man, you learn a lot about yourself, and then you can play with whether or not this is part of who you are. And it doesn't mean you just go, oh, well, that's who I am, let it be. It lets you know where your areas are that you need to work on, what areas are going to be hard for you. So you definitely want to maybe get that done. I'm a big advocate, so to learn it yourself, but it takes a lot of time. I've been doing this for a hot minute. So what do we have going on today, guys? Does anybody know what we have going on and maybe want to pop in and ask a question? Feel free to do that. So last night, I'm going to say last night, but it was this morning, like super early at 12:15. We did have the moon entering the Virgo cusp. And I know that there's a lot of astrologers out there that don't mess with the cusps altogether, but I think this is an interesting one because Virgo is all about like that restless productivity, a lot of nervous energy, and you're gonna, those people especially, so if you're a mutable sign too, like Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, you're definitely going to feel it. You're going to want to watch out for the jitters and the anxiousness that come today and this morning especially, and keep that under control. I'm sorry. Virgo is all about restlessness and activity. Not all about. There's so much more to Virgo. But, if you're already a super flighty person who's a busy bee, my ascending is Virgo, so I get it. And that's why maybe it's important to me or relevant to me this morning is to keep an eye out on that. I did feel like a strong push to get a whole bunch done, and I probably have tentatively put too much on my plate for today, but we'll see, right? I usually kind of pull it out last minute and get it done. Yesterday I left for work at and I sometimes feel those pulls and those signs right before they happen or as they're transitioning, and so maybe that was my issue yesterday. But I left for work yesterday, well, let's say this, I got up at 5 o'clock yesterday, and I did all of this work and video and editing and uploading, and then I went to work. I did my 9 to 5. I went and got my nails did. You guys want to see that? Look at how cute are these. I went and got my nails done, and then I went and worked and did some live videos with Karma on Deck. If you guys haven't seen her or followed her, definitely go find Karma on Deck. That was super fun last night. We did a little tarot / astrology, so I can do a tarot with you as well. Something that's super fun is to take your chart too, and once you know that, you have a blueprint, and then pull your cards on a regular basis or here and there, it doesn't matter. It's super fun to see the parallels that happen between the two of those. It's pretty crazy. So what, I got home at 10:30, so yeah, a little bit of a productive pull going on with me, and trying to fit in a bunch of stuff. So the other thing that we got going on is my eyes don't want to stay open today, is that Sun is going to square Black Moon Lilith. We've had Black Moon Lilith in our chart now for a couple of days, or in transits for a couple of days, and we always talk about Lilith being the outsider. So that's the representation, is it feeling like an outsider and challenging norms, challenging rules, challenging taboo, challenging the taboo too as well, right? Like, why can't I talk about that? And I told you guys that just recently I had some transits in my natal chart with Black Moon Lilith, and it was crazy because there was a strong desire to make a change. I literally almost quit my job. And I had walked in and decided that these people don't fully know me, and it was like a weird purge, but that's what it is, right? Is to just uphold to be your authentic self. So when you take the Sun and square it with Black Moon Lilith, there is, what's the note? I had written something down and now I can't find it. The square is an action aspect, and so if you take Black Moon Lilith and square it with the Sun, right, you're basically squaring, and it's saying that some action needs to happen regarding self. And that is an important call for all of us, is to take a minute to challenge where you are. Challenge who you believe yourself to be. We talked last night too about negative self-talk, and we're in such a great spot planetarily right now for eliminating self-talk and changing the paradigm. So yeah, it's huge too, guys. So right now you've got all of that energy and that, how did I describe her the other day? If you were to imagine Black Moon Lilith, right? She's the outsider, the prostitute, or the, what's her name? The Rosie the Riveters of the world, the ones that challenge social norms. And squared with the Sun, and we're talking about self, go and challenge. You may see some challenges in what you believe to be your authentic self, and I'm just saying, look for that energy and use it right now. to make change. So those are like your big aspects for today. Those are the ones that I would, and I mean, we talked about Uranus is in our chart still today. We talked about the Uranus in our chart yesterday. So right now the sun is also trining Uranus. So we've got a square with Black Moon Lilith, and we've got a trine with Uranus, which also pushes us to try something new, right? So what a great combination of energy. I think it's beautiful. So if you guys have questions about it, don't forget to hit me up. I'm so happy to answer questions. A couple of things that are coming up in the next little while, which are going to be super interesting, is on the 20th, the sun will be opposing North Node. Now, think about that, right? Your sun is opposing your North Node, which will just mean that it is conjunct with your South Node. Good morning, Josh. My son just walked in the door. He's like me. He got up at like 5:30 this morning just to go play soccer. He's such a cutie too. And single-ish. So what was I saying? Oh, so if it's in opposition of the North Node, then it's going to be conjunct with the South Node. And one of the things that's super interesting to think about that, right, is that it's in opposition of the North Node, which means our forward direction and our destinies, our goal point. And so that means it's conjunct with our South Node. This is a time of feeling a little caught up in the past and a lot of reflecting on the past. You guys know what I'm talking about. When you get into that mode of thinking where it's, well, if it hadn't been for this, I'd be further in my life. If it hadn't been for this, well, I had this. I had a divorce. I had, I don't know, a death in the family, a foreclosure. I had kids early. There's those things in our past that are weighing us down and making us feel like we're not moving forward, or that we could have been further along in that goal toward our North Node. And careful today, don't get caught up in that. My advice is always to acknowledge that those feelings are there. Let yourself wallow in it, I don't care, but 90 seconds. 90 seconds is how long you have to wallow in it, and then you've got to pick up and tie your boots and get moving. And be aware that those feelings are only temporary. They're there for a minute. You've got Sun opposing North Node on the 20th of December. That's just a couple of days from now. And I just wanted to give you guys a heads up to pay attention to that. And then, guys, while you're processing all of this, which is great because it's going to bring up all of those feelings, is that on the 21st of December, keep this, write it down. You have winter solstice, right? If you're in the northern hemisphere, it is going to be the shortest day of the year, so a lot of night. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's actually going to be the longest day of the year and a lot of light. So there'll be different things. I'm going to talk to you guys because this is northern hemisphere and this is why it's important. Is that this is like considered what it's called long night of the soul. And the work that can be done during the solstice, where it's a great time for meditation and entering into a dark space. Now, I don't mean a dark space as in depressing or sad or anything like that. What I'm saying is your bedroom at midnight, right, is just so quiet and so dark and comforting. And so this is the time where we go into that dark place inside of ourselves and spend a whole lot of time with ourselves. Spend some time with yourself And don't focus on your thoughts so much as your feelings, and see what you learn about yourself, because it's those inner calling emotions that are telling us whether or not we're on our right path, if we're not on our right path, what we need more of and what we need less of. I am a firm believer right now that there's not a whole lot that anybody needs more of immediately. I know that we all need a little more of something, whether it's a little more love, a little more affection, a little more time, space. But what I'm saying to you is that freeing up things that don't serve you actually creates those. So in my opinion, it's more important to practice less, try to find less. You need more love or more attention and affection and more meaningful relationships. I'm not kidding, guys. Scaling back the number of relationships means that the lesser number existing surviving ones actually get to be deeper. So instead of having, let's say this, 100 friends, you have 5 close friends. You have more time to spend with each of these 5 than 5 minutes with 100. So sometimes focusing on that less is the thing that gets us more, right? That's super funny. My mom used to tell me less is more when I was a kid. Man, she was so right. Yeah, so that's my advice. That's coming up, so make sure that in the days leading up, you don't get caught up in that I could have, I should have, I wish I would have mentality, and rock your day. Again, you guys know where to find me. I hope you know where to find me by now. If you're watching me on YouTube, I'm on Magic and Moxie. That should be Magic and sign Moxie. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Magic and Moxie. My name is Vanessa Munford, if that helps you find me. Or share, that's fantastic. And then you also see me on Karma on Deck and Babalao Psychic Reading. I'm posting both of them there. So guys, I'm now gonna go have a minute and maybe say good morning to Karma on Deck, who's just popped in, and I love you guys all so very much. We will see you tomorrow, super bright and early.